Alright, this is a quick tour of some of the hardware that I have for my Apple IIgs but is not currently installed in the machine. This first card you see pictured here is an Apple II video overlay card. This card is what would be commonly referred to as a Genlock card. It allows one to synchronize the Apple IIgs's video with an external video source and overlay its graphics over that video. This was a common feature built into, for example, the Amiga computer, and the Atari STE also had this capability built in. It came rather late in the Apple II's life. It came out in 1989 and it never caught on, mostly because it was expensive. And it's pretty rare to find one of these today. Up here is a basic Apple IIgs sound card. It's a MD Ideas Supersonic. It's actually a pretty clean sounding card compared to most. And this connector you see here is for an optional digitizer add-on. This is strictly a stereo output card. Over here we have an Applied Engineering PC transporter card with the color switch monitor adapter. This is a PC XT compatible on a card. It's powered by an NEC V30 CPU. It also supports CGA video output, and it has 768 kilobytes of RAM and an optional math coprocessor socket. The color switchboard converts the CGA digital RGB to analog RGB, so you can view it on your Apple IIgs's monitor. This is an Econ Technologies Meister sound card. This card is actually somewhat famous because I had purchased it off a prominent Apple II community member when he left the community. Many say this is a clean card. I actually found it to be quite noisy. And it's also a pretty basic card. It only supports recording using the Ensoniq's built-in recording function, which is mono only. It's a decent card, but I don't quite give it the same rave reviews as others do. Next up is this Fingerprint GSI card from Precision Software. This was actually the first peripheral I bought for my Apple IIgs after I purchased it in 1998. When you push this fingerprint button, it allows you to take screenshots, save them to disk, or print them out directly without leaving the application that you're using. Up here we just have the standard Apple IIgs 1 megabyte RAM card. Most people have one of these in their machine, and it's pretty common. Here, practically new in the box, is an Apple II 3.5 disc controller card. This is commonly known as the Superdrive card because it allows you to read and write high density discs on your Apple IIgs, including MS-DOS diskettes. I picked this up from a company called Shreve Systems out of Shreveport, Louisiana, probably back in 2000 or so. They actually had a good stock of these cards new in the box. They were selling for $59, and considering how rare these cards are, that was a heck of a price, so I picked that up as quickly as I could call them up and order it. Over here we have an Applied Ingenuity, or is it not, Applied Visions Inc. I'm confusing that with another company that made sound cards. This is a Future Sound GS. And this is probably one of the more advanced cards, right up there with the Applied Engineering Audio Animator. Instead of a breakout box, this used various cables. Like the Audio Animator, it has both RCA line level and amplified outputs. It has its own onboard digitizer, which allows it to record in stereo. And I lucked out on getting this on eBay. I don't think too many people were looking for it, and I haven't seen one up on eBay since then, and that was probably at least 10 years ago at this point. So I have to say this card is pretty rare, and I only know of maybe about one other person who has one of these. And saving, well, maybe not the best for last, I have an Applied Engineering RAM Keeper card, new in the box, endorsed by Steve Wozniak, the creator of Apple Computer. Makes your 2GS memory card an electronic hard disk. All just for $299. Now this card was kind of made obsolete by the advent of cheap storage. What it did was it went into the RAM card slot and provided what was basically a battery-backed RAM disk. And you may be thinking, what? Yes, they had this crazy idea that you would buy RAM, which, by the way, was very expensive in the late 80s and early 90s, and use it as a mass storage device as opposed to a hard drive. Needless to say, these really didn't catch on, mostly because of the expensive RAM. And, well, it also wasn't somewhere you would want to put your important data. It had a power brick that plugged into the wall, into one of those sockets that you see there. And the other socket had a 12-volt gel cell as backup battery power. As you can imagine, this could have been a bit of a problem if you had an extended power outage, because once the battery ran down, your data went poof. And apparently, and I don't know if these rumors were true, some of these cards had problems with catching on fire because they were powered on at all times and heated up. But I don't know how true or not those rumors were. And like all Applied Engineering hardware, it was proudly made in the USA, something that you don't really see anymore. Permanent storage with an electronic hard disk. And this is one reason why I picked up the card. It actually supports two Apple 2GS memory cards at the same time. With a RAM Keeper, you could actually upgrade a 2GS to 16 megabytes of RAM. The only problem is, I don't think the Apple 2GS supported more than 8. The remaining, any memory above 8 megabytes was mapped to the RAM Keeper's battery-backed hard disk / RAM disk. So that's just about it for my Apple II hardware. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick overview. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them. Otherwise, have a good long weekend.